Good morning, Jamal Martin. I'm going to be discussing police perception and some of the variables that may affect the perception of police. To start off, I want to address something. I'm submitting this video late, um, and hopes of just receiving some form of credit. I explained to you earlier that I got my laptop stolen when I went out of town for Thanksgiving break. It's caused me to fall extremely behind on a lot of assignments. I lost everything dealing with this assignment that I was working on. Within the past week, I've worked hard and tirelessly to try to get caught up within amongst everything between this class and my other courses. And with that being said, let's get right into it. We're going to be discussing police performance and some of the factors that go into play when addressing the needs of or addressing the issues of how police officers are rated and how the performance are affected by our society and in general. Uh, Police performance is actually an extremely controversial topic, especially right now. We're living in an era where social media is at its finest. You're one click away now from being recorded and going viral. So I believe that police performance is at a new light right now and is of utmost importance. Uh, Police officers are entrusted to provide law and order and serve and protect our society, and it's supposed to be done so in a manner that is fair and just. Um, some of the factors that are going to be used to understand how performance of police officers are rated, we're going to analyze and assess the relationship between the performance of officers along with the race, education levels of both the respondent and the officer, household income, and gender. Let's take a note and understand that although these factors do play a role, there are many other factors that also contribute to the relationship between police performance ratings and the people that they serve within the communities. The first thing that I'm going to look at, the first variable, is income. Police performance can be affected by income, and this deals with both uh, the household income within the community that they perform, along with the compensation officers are provided by their agency. One thing that could be noted through research is officers who make a higher amount of base salary often are more satisfied with their daily job duties. Um, and because of this, they're able to perform at a higher efficiency, oftentimes because it leads to motivation and desire to want to be at work. And it often, with this, motivation and desire, it can lead to a better quality of work. Within the communities that they police, areas that have increased income, there's often an increase in police efficiency. This can be seen. This can be evident for various many reasons. Um, Oftentimes, in these neighborhoods where higher income is evident, police officers may have better tools and things available that they can actually use to perform their job. Uh, this can be done because taxpayers do fund a lot of the things and needs that police officers use and come in contact with through their uh, daily days of walk on the job. For example, I like to use visibility as a way that police performance can be rated. When you see an increase of police officers in the neighborhood, some people may have a sense of security and therefore rate police performance ratings higher. So within neighborhoods who have higher income, they are probably taxed at a higher rate and are able to provide better funding to those agencies within those incomes, which in return results in maybe more vehicles, um, better response times. All that goes into account when looking at the police performance ratings. Education level is another variable that plays a role in police performance ratings. It actually has an influence on both sides of on both the respondent, the education level of the respondent has an influence, along with the education level also has an influence on the performance of their job duties. One thing that we notice is that the higher the educational level of the respondent, there's a decrease in police ratings. Uh, with officers, when you see a higher education level, there is a increase in police performance, and I find this to be extremely ironic. Um, One thing that can be noted about the education level of respondents is that police ratings may be decreased because they have a better understanding and working knowledge of their own constitutional rights. With this being said, they are more aware of what is going on. So when they're being either mistreated or mishandled or the rights are being violated, they have a better working knowledge to understand that those rights are being violated, therefore resulting in a decrease in police ratings. When officers are of higher education levels, those same things that empower respondents to understand the mistreatment that they may be enduring also empower police officers. They are equipped to understand and know the laws that they are um, allowed to police in, the parameters that are set out, whether that's legality issues or policy issues. They know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. It provides a better foundation and understanding, which ultimately allows them to uh, provide a better customer service interaction with between law enforcement and society. Gender and race are both topics that are also extremely. They also play a role in police ratings, and I find that race is probably one of the most controversial topics. I spoke briefly in the beginning, dealing with how we live in an era right now where um, police relations and society are probably at probably at one of its most controversial points, and it has a lot to do with social media and technology. But very much like anything else, race is just a controversial topic when we discuss it. Uh, Within the police departments, there is a I don't want to say an unspoken culture because it is a form of policing that is conducted in order to be proactive. Um, One thing that police departments are often uh, negatively looked at is that we have to react to a lot of things. We are usually responding to things after the fact, and proactive measures may be frowned upon within communities because there's some things that go with it. Uh, while being proactive, officers have to partake in stereotyping and profiling, while doing so may proactively be able to have a positive impact within the department, whether it's making an arrest, receiving charges, or very other statistics that go into proactive policing. Those very same practices may result in a decrease in police efficiency and rating amongst the community because it can be viewed as racism. And a lot of these practices have sparked what we know now today as the Black Lives Matter movement. And because of this, ratings between race and police officers' performance is extremely controversial and is a topic of concern. Along with race, gender is another role that plays a role in the police performance. There's often uh, there is a negative rating between opposite sex. So as if a male and a female come in contact, a male officer with a female respondent, female respondent is more likely to feel like the police performance was negatively was not as good of an interaction. Uh, from experience, this may be for several reasons. Women may feel like the male is handling them incorrectly, whether as being too physical or just not being gentlemanlike in layman speaking. Along with that, moving forward, I used three different hypotheses while looking at this data, and within the hypothesis, if the income of a given location is higher, then rate and performance of police department is expected to be higher. The police rating of a given department is affected by race and age of the individual. If the education of a person is higher, then the rating of police is expected to be lower due to the higher rate of knowledge. Within the methodology, we use data that was provided to us via Blackboard. We use one of the data sets. Along with this, I analyzed the data using a regression equation. The regression equation is right along top of this slide. Y stands for the police ranking. X1 deals with income. X2 is the race. X3 is gender. X4 is the educational level. Looking at some of the charts that I've included in my paper, these are the descriptive statistics. More specifically, I'm gonna focus on the correlations right now. When dealing with correlations, there was a negative correlation between education and rating of police. It was negative 0.011, and with this rating, we've seen as education increase, the rating of police decrease. With the variable household income, the correlation was a positive one. The ranking of police was positively affected within the household income. As household income rise, the rank of police also increased. Going through the charts from the regressional data, one thing that we noticed with the sex response, opposite sex had a negative efficiency, as opposite sex is a negative 0.280, as they it had a negative impact on the rating of police performance of officers. The race of the respondent also had an impact on performance rating. It had a negative impact as well. So as race varied, so did the negative impact. So opposite race allow for a negative performance rating. The education respond in comparison to education of officer. As the educational levels increased within the respondents, we've seen a decrease in performance rating. Household income seen a increased performance. As household income increased, there was a positive impact within the rating of police officers. In conclusion,